Well, guys, we have come to the end of another Halloween season, and what better way to celebrate it than with a review of a Halloween movie, Halloween 2. Halloween 2 was directed by Rick Rosenthal and came out in 1981, being the official sequel to the original classic, and promised more of the night he came home. Taking place right after the events of the first movie, Laurie Strode is taken to the hospital, and Michael Myers is still out on the loose, on the run, and is hunting down to find her and kill her, all while his psychiatrist, Dr. Loomis, is also hunting down Michael Myers. Guys, I hear a lot of people that really do enjoy this film and see it as a perfect continuation of the series at the time, and for the most part, I just find this movie really dull and boring. Now, that's not to say that the entire movie is that way, because I'm going to get into my positives right now, and I do want to say that I love the look of this film, especially in the first half of the film. I think Rick Rosenthal did a great job of emulating John Carpenter's style. This really does feel like a continuation of the original film, and I really do love that. I think it feels very small budget, and it also just looks really good. It looks like it could have been directed by John Carpenter himself, until later on in the film where we get some things that are clearly not what John Carpenter would have done. But overall, I think the look of the film looks really good, and also, I love the music of this film. I think the Halloween theme in this film is a bit underrated. I absolutely love this theme. It's got a new beat to it, and it just feels so good and just different as well. And I think it's really underrated. I think I even like this a little bit more than the original theme. It gets your blood pumping, and it is really tense, and just, I mean, it's another John Carpenter score. It is John Carpenter's score, and it works perfectly here, especially in that amazing opening credits scene of the movie that is just so good and so creepy as well. And also, that's something I really do like too, is Rick Rosenthal really kept with the creepiness, especially in the first half of the movie, and just made it feel so tense, and just there's a lot of wide shots. I love the sequence of Michael Myers we're seeing through his mask, obviously kind of like a callback to the original film where we are looking through his eyes in the opening scene of the movie. That works really well. I love the whole idea of Michael Myers has escaped the suburb area of Haddonfield and is now in town, and I think that's a great place for a horror film to be taking place in, especially something like this. Like, there's a crazy man that is on the loose, and he is in town, and he is dressed up in a Halloween costume, where everybody this night is dressed up in a Halloween costume, so he perfectly blends in. But aside for like the first half of the movie, they don't do much with it after that. I'm definitely somebody that likes half of this movie. I think the first half of this movie is incredibly well done and tense and really, really good, with some solid acting from Donald Pleasence, who plays Dr. Loomis, who is, again, really solid in this film. The dialogue with him is great. His monologues about Michael Myers, they never get tired. Donald Pleasence is just such a great actor that he can really just make any conversation interesting, even though the dialogue itself is interesting. But I love how just tense he is, and how unsure he is about Michael Myers, and how he has finally decided and discovered that he just might not even be human. And I love that. I love how he goes on this manhunt. We get like an explosion in this movie with a car crash where somebody is killed that looks like Michael Myers, but it's not. And I just love the whole way the town reacts to Michael Myers returning. I love the sequence where they are throwing stuff at the old Michael Myers house. It really feels so much like what a continuation should do on the night he came home. And I think it was really something cool to do, and they really make a solid outing in the first half of this film as we're following Dr. Loomis and all the police officers and them trying to hunt down Michael Myers. However, the second half of this film, or really the majority of this film, takes place inside a hospital where Jamie Lee Curtis is being taken to, and this is where the movie just gets so dull and so boring that it just can't save the film. None of the stuff in the beginning can really save the film after this point, because we are just in a hospital and it's really boring. The shots are kind of flat. There's nothing flashy anymore about the cinematography, and it really does not feel like a John Carpenter film at this point. And also, we're introduced to characters inside this hospital that barely have any characterization with them. The only one I kind of like is Bud, who is a complete asshole, but, you know, he's enjoyable. He's just an idiot, and, you know, he loves sex. But I like him the most because they do the most with his character, but these people are basically here just to get killed, whereas in the first film, there was, you know, some characterization with the people that die, which I really did like, which made you care about some of the people that were being killed. However, here, you don't care about anyone that is getting killed, and it feels very much like a Friday the 13th movie, which this movie is probably heavily inspired by, since Friday the 13th became very popular, and it kind of evokes that style halfway through the film, and is kind of just annoying more than anything. And then we also have the twist that Michael Myers is Laurie Strode's sister, and this would be a crazy revelation, but it is just void of any of me caring, because the rest of the film is just so dull and so boring. But I can say it picks up in the last act of the film, where we get a chase scene through the hospital where things start picking up, and then the final confrontation with Dr. Loomis and Michael Myers is thrilling. But we just have this middle of this film that is so dull and so boring, and it's really sad because there was so much promise in that first half of the film that I thought was so good, and what a sequel to the original Halloween should do, and it had some clever things about it. It had some clever ideas with Michael Myers blending in with everybody, walking around the streets, and honestly, that is more thrilling than a chase sequence through a hospital, which just was boring. I much rather would have liked a sequel that dealt with Michael Myers inside, you know, Haddonfield's district, inside like the town itself. That would have been really interesting, but they didn't go that route. Also, even though for years the whole thing that Michael Myers was Laurie Strode's brother was, you know, something that was really part of the mythology of the Halloween series. However, I do have a problem with it in this film, and the fact is that in the first film, Michael Myers is just a guy that is going around killing babysitters for no apparent reason. And I think that is more chilling than the Michael Myers of this film, which has a goal to kill his sister. And I think it's more interesting if he just is randomly picking off these people. And, I mean, for the most part, he kind of does in this film, but his real goal is Laurie Strode. And I just think it would have been more interesting if they didn't do the whole brother-sister thing. And also, I do want to say that John Carpenter himself is not pleased with how this film came out to be. He doesn't even like the script he wrote, really. He thinks that he just couldn't get through it really. I mean, he was drinking beer while writing the script for this film, and I think it really shows in the first half of the film that he really had a clear vision for what he wanted, and it was really great, but he ran out of steam as the script went along. And honestly, as somebody that is a screenwriter himself, I completely understand. I do tend to run out of steam as the scripts go along, and I think he did here as well. But overall, Halloween 2 has some clever ideas. It has an interesting first act of a film. It has a great first half, and the rest of the film is just really dull and boring and uneventful, and I just don't see how people really love this film and see it as a great, if not, just a little under what the original Halloween film did, and it's just, a pretty good sequel, but I don't even think it's a pretty good sequel. I just don't think this is a very good film. It has some great things in it, but overall, it's very forgettable. I'm going to give Halloween 2 a 5 out of 10. Well, guys, I want to thank you for joining me in my Halloween horror reviews for this month. It has been really great just going around watching all these horror films and talking about them with you and talking about Halloween as well. I love this holiday. I love the movies that come out around this time. I love watching horror films, and next year we will be doing the exact same thing. I don't know what the theme of next year will be, but we will be reviewing Halloween 3, which is a film I'm really looking forward to talking to, and it's really sad that I have to wait an entire year to talk about it. But that's next year. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next review.